Namaste, beautiful souls, Venus lovers, friends, and family. Welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Today we are going to go through the forecasts of Venus through the constellation of Virgo from the dates of August 23rd through October 2nd. And on October 3rd, Venus will transit into the constellation of Libra. Hopefully y'all have been following me, watching my channel. If you're new, please go back and check out the Should Venus Rule Virgo, Venus Should Rule Virgo videos, as well as the conversation I had with my colleagues on Sunday. It's a little bit up for debate. You know, there's differing opinions. I'm of the opinion that Venus is not in her fall in Virgo, and at the very least, but then ultimately should be the ruler of Virgo. So we're going to get into that. I want to show you my new Venus short, which takes you through a complete 20-month Venus cycle from June 4th of this year to January of 2026. So it's a 1-minute short, but you can watch Venus move through the constellations, go through her retrograde phase, and then go back to her superior conjunction. Then I'm going to show you a really cool video of the geometry of Venus and Earth and the Sun and the dance that they make. And you're going to remember that as we talk. The energies are super interesting this month. There's a lot of good things coming. There is a square to Pluto at the end of this. There's also 2 eclipses during this transit for the sun and the moon. The first one is a lunar eclipse, and then the second one is the solar eclipse on October 2nd. So we have a lot to get through. This may be a long video. There are timestamps below. All my links are below. How is the Leo transit for you guys? Leo is always such fire. My solar return happens on August 4th, and usually Venus is transiting on or around the Leo constellation. It's not always a nice time for me for some reason. My birthday, my solar returns are always a little bit fraught with anxiety and squares and things like that. So I am coming out of that. I'm feeling pretty good. I am still doing the mediumship course, having a great time with that. Just connecting with colleagues, building learn.drdanny.com, and providing readings for you guys. And yes, I'm still working. So I'm doing all of that. And I love these Venus transits. It's a chance for us to really go deep and really understand the energy of Venus, the mechanics of Venus. I don't really have a long presentation before we get into the astrology because I did that in other videos. This would have been a 3-hour presentation had we gone through everything that I wanted to talk about with Venus. So let me get into this a little bit, and then we'll talk about the energy of Venus through Virgo. What I want to do first is just share my screen real quick, but let me do this first. What's that? Yep, just keep all that stuff open. Okay. All right. Share screen. Share screen. Here we go. So so I want to show you these 2 shorts first. So this is the short that I just created. We're going to watch Venus. So you'll see Venus right here in the constellation of Taurus. This was on June 4th of this year. And this cycle will end in 1 minute in January of 2026. So we'll watch the entire 20-minute cycle just real fast. And I'll show you where we are now. So Venus is direct. Venus is an evening star. She's separating from the sun. So 1 Venus cycle is 584 days. We're here now. We're speeding up a little bit because we don't want this short to be 5 minutes. It's only allowed to be a minute. So you can see Venus transiting through all these major spaces. Now she goes retrograde through Pisces, and then there's a Venus star point in the constellation of Pisces with an eclipse. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. So once we get to that point, we will deal with that. But now she's a morning star and she's direct again, and she will end this cycle in the constellation of Sagittarius as with Mars and her conjunct with the Sun and Mercury. It should be a very interesting time. So I wanted you guys to see that. And then the second one is this. I sped this up 2 times. This is the Earth here in the middle. This is the Sun, and this is Venus. the Earth is going to sit here in the middle because this is what we see. This is from our perspective, sitting on the place we call Earth. So we'll play this real quick. So what you're going to see is Venus tracing a pattern here. This is a retrograde loop, which we'll experience next year. So in about 13 Venus orbits around the sun, which equal 8-year Earth years, which is 8 Earth orbits around the sun, Venus creates this pattern in the sky. So this is her greater cycle. It's an 8-year cycle that takes her 13 orbits around the sun to complete. And what you're going to notice after this last retrograde loop here is this pattern there's this geometry forming. There's this 5-pointed star. Okay. And so when I say a Pisces star point is coming in March of next year, that's that retrograde loop we're talking about. Okay. So just absorb that symmetry, that beauty, that connection to like the matrix, the mathematics, the functioning of the universe. This is Virgo energy. How does it all work? Let's dive deep and pick apart what is the underlying programming of the universe. And this is Venus tracing this every single 8 years. Okay, so the star points will repeat themselves every 8 years. So last year we had a Leo Venus star point, and 8 years from 2023, we will have another Leo Venus star point. In March of next year, in 2025, we're going to have a Pisces Venus star point. So it should be very, very interesting. I wanted you all to just really check that out and keep the numbers 5, 8, and 13 in your head, okay? Just keep those numbers in your head. I want you to remember those numbers, and don't worry, I'll bring it up again. All right. So let's consider Venus in Virgo, shall we? Look at this. This is Venus right at the heart of the transit, right around September 11th. And the sun will be moving into Virgo around the 15th of September. And so what you see at the beginning of the sun's transit is it's almost like a crown over her head, over the Virgo constellation's head. And then here's Venus sort of right in the sacral chakra region of Virgo, the Virgin. Now, Virgo is often thought of as analytical, self-critical, very organized, very tidy, very clean, all these wonderful things. But there's other energy with Virgo. There's the energy of the mother. There's the energy of the birthing mother sky goddess, and there's also the energy of the Virgin. And so how do we like reconcile those two energies, this Virgin energy and this mother energy? Well, the way that I think about that is that if you look at the constellation of Virgo, the mother energy, the maiden energy, there's thousands of galaxies in that cluster of stars. So if you were to zoom into that, you would get thousands, like an order of magnitude of 100 over what the other constellation that might have the next highest amount of galaxies. So it's pretty amazing. And what are galaxies? They're these centers of creation. So there's a black hole in the center with enormous gravity, enormous density, creating a singularity in time and space that takes energy and turns it into stuff. Stardust, stars, planets, people, things, women, children, all of this energy. And so there has to be an underlying energy, an underlying matrix, an underlying code that the creation energy of Venus can really, really tap into here. And I think when you think about what Venus is responsible for, which is inspired creation, it is literally that, what am I creating next? Also procreation. Both of those things tie into your path to immortality, meaning that children are your legacy, and whatever it is you create is your creative legacy. Okay. So there's this immortality energy. It's constantly ebbing and flowing with creation and destruction. And this is where Venus is ecstatic. She loves this. She loves the transformation from life to death, and she loves the transformation from death to life, that ascension and descension process. When she goes retrograde, we feel this very, very acutely. And so this energy of the mother is one of the greatest energies of service to creation that you can possibly do. This is not a fall energy. This is not a detriment energy. In fact, being in service to the creator like this through the physical body, which is what Venus is responsible for, the sensations of the physical body. It's the highest act of service ever. It should be revered. And at one point it was. It actually was. The mother goddess was a revered figure. And this is where you had the matriarchal societies. In the temples of Isis and other matriarchal deity groups that were in service to the goddess, they would go through these initiation rituals so that they could learn how to use that creative force inside of them. They didn't really, the matriarchal societies would have fertility rituals where the men would be invited and they would be able to copulate with the women. And then that's how they had their progeny. It was through the mother line. It didn't matter who the father was. And so they could either choose the service to the goddess or service to the creation and, create children. So it's super interesting when you think about all of this. And this is all really like Virgo. There's no other place in the zodiac where you have this energy. And Mercury ruling it, I think, is just really, it just sells it to the highest bidder. It takes away like the honor and the glory and the tremendous power that is the divine feminine of creation, which is Venus in Virgo. So that's the thumbnail picture. I just, it connects that, creative earthy energy to the cosmic cosmology that we are becoming, as star seeds and light workers, come online and awaken. We're going to have more of a cosmic outlook. And when we look at the space of Virgo in the sky, it is where creation is. And Venus is the goddess of creation. That's what she does. She creates it and experiences and attains wisdom through the senses and loving her creation. So let's see, what else do I want to think about? Okay, we're at the calendar. Cool. All right, I wanted to show you a couple of more things, just maybe one or two more things before I get into this calendar. I hope you like my new format. I did this for Venus through Leo because I didn't want to have two different calendar pictures, and I use smaller markers, and I'm trying to write a little neater, but Venus is going to transit through Virgo from the 23rd of August all the way to the 2nd of October. That's when the solar eclipse occurs for Saros cycle number 144. And we are going to get into all of this. All right, what I want to do is show you in space what the transit looks like. Then I want to show you on a chart what the transit looks like. And then we will dive into this. And then there's a couple of tangents I want to go into when we're doing this as well. Okay. All right. Here is Venus on August 23rd, about to enter the constellation of Virgo. So we're going to advance the days one day at a time. Here we go. So you'll see Venus transiting, moving through the constellation of Virgo, one day at a time. There comes the moon. I'm going to adjust this so you can see the full transits. 8th of September. Here comes the sun. On the 15th, the sun enters Virgo. Look at that. So it won't be Libra season. Not yet, not for a long shot. The entire month of October is actually Virgo season for the sun. Here comes the solar eclipse on the 2nd, and Mercury is right there too. So we're definitely going to do a video about that because that's big energy. And then there is Venus entering into Libra. So this whole pathway, this is an initiation. This is going through the energy of service. This is really getting down to the nitty gritty of what it is you're going to create, what it is you're going to destroy, what it is you're going to bring through the life cycle. Okay, so it does require some of the intelligence of Mercury, but Mercury's energy here just feels like it just because it's already, very analytical and knowledgeable in Gemini, going down rabbit holes and figuring things out. Rabbit holes isn't the space for Virgo. Virgo needs to kind of let go and let nature take its course, I feel like. And with Mercury as the ruler of Libra, Venus is much more supported here because she needs representation through Libra. She's on trial here. But we'll talk a bit more about that as she moves through Libra. This is such an interesting time of year when these planets transit through here. All right, I want to take you through the chart, and then we will get into the transits. Okay, here we are in the chart on the day that Venus begins her transit into the constellation of Virgo. We're going day by day, just like we did with Stellarium. This chart reflects the sky. So we're going to watch Venus go through here. We're going to watch Sun enter Virgo, Mercury conjunct the Sun again, and the eclipses. We'll see those as well. Okay, so let's just go through this from the 23rd to October 2nd. I keep wanting to say August. So there's Venus. Oh, this day we're going to talk about too. Do you see that? That is a perfect Star of David Merkabah. This Merkabah is your light vessel. It's where your soul enters if you want to travel through time and space in the fourth and higher dimensions. So let's keep going. We're going to talk about that day. All right. And now the sun is entering Virgo. There is your lunar eclipse. And as we get into the solar eclipse, Venus will enter into Libra. So there you have it. That is the movement of Venus through the skies, through the transits that we're going to discuss. So let's get into the calendar. Okay, my beautiful friends, let's dive into this. So we're going to do a quick overview, and then I'm going to run through these very quickly because I have a feeling that I need to do some separate videos. I need to do some live videos to talk about, especially this week specifically. Actually, I might go live one of these days here and talk about this next week because this is amazing. So we'll talk about this first week. Mercury goes direct as Venus enters into Virgo. There's that Merkabah we're going to talk about. Uranus will station retrograde. We have a Leo new moon on the 2nd of September. Mars will enter Gemini. Here's another eclipse point. I will talk about that. That's the last one before the eclipse. So it's a good chance to get your feet wet in the energies for what that eclipse might mean for you personally. Lilith enters Scorpio on the 9th. Then we have the sun enter Virgo on the 15th. We have a lunar eclipse on the 17th. Oh yeah, we have another Yod with Venus at the end of the month. And then the solar eclipse on the 2nd as Venus enters into Libra on the 3rd. Okay, guys, so we are going to go through all of this. I want to break down this first week for y'all because we are coming, as we move into this energy of Venus into Virgo, everything that I just talked about, we are ending some energies. This energy that we're ending is Venus opposing Saturn and Jupiter and Mars T-squaring Venus and Saturn. Okay, so we have this T-square in the chart. That square will end, the T-square energy for Venus is going to end on the 24th, the day she enters into Virgo. So it's like something she's just leaving behind. But what she's carrying into that a little bit is the square to Mars. So there's some action that she feels like she needs to take here. So after we get through this intense weekend with the full moon, we get a little bit of a break, but we're going to feel like we need to take some action. There's a lot of letting go around full moons. And so the best way to use that energy is very constructively by letting Venus clean up. Virgo energy does still want to be very organized and clean and make sure they know where everything is. And so that might be a really nice way to use Venus squaring on Mars. There's an action that needs to be taken here. Opposing onto Saturn is also very much taking responsibility, balancing the, what you need to do with what you have to do, what you want to do. All of that is very important this week coming into this next set of energies. And you can see it's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. So as Venus takes those first few days into Virgo, there's a lot of letting go of old energies, picking up some new energies. Make sure your space is clean. Make sure your mind is clean. Make sure your heart is clean. Just be ready. Okay, that full moon is a burst, and so you'll know exactly what you need to let go of and what you need to do. All right, here's what's new. So from August 21st to August 31st, Venus trines onto Uranus retrograde, onto Uranus. Uranus doesn't go retrograde till we get into October. This energy, a trine, Venus, okay, Venus in Virgo, there's a freedom here. Uranus and Taurus, both her energies, both her signs, okay? There's an earth energy with Uranus. There's a freedom to feel into a new sense of freedom, a new sense of strangeness, without judgment and without retribution. So you might be into something that is completely new to you. Perhaps a new partner, perhaps a new place to live, perhaps something earthy that's new that you never thought you'd be into before that is completely unexpected. But there's no judgment there because you're going to feel into this new sense of freedom. From the 23rd to the 1st of September, Venus will also oppose Neptune retrograde in a T-square with Mars because Mars and Neptune are opposing one another here. So there's this wanting to take action, but not really wanting to, kind of wanting to sit in the bliss. So Mars squares Venus and Mars squares Neptune and Venus and Neptune are in an opposition. There's an energy of frustration here, feeling the need to take action, but not being able to. So this is I love it when this energy comes because here's what it is. There has to be an acceptance that we can't do it all the time. And there has to be an energy of being okay with just sitting, just being in the now moment and sitting in contentment. Okay. The difference between contentment and boredom is acceptance. That's literally it. And then once the acceptance is there, then the heart can swell. Then the feelings of creative inspiration are allowed to pour through your entire physical vessel, your entire Merkabah. From August 24th through September 2nd, Venus will also trine onto Pluto. Pluto, who's also retrograde. So this is the fiery heat of Pluto, the Lord of Wealth, retrograde in Sagittarius, in a fire sign, lighting up our spiritual foundations. So we're being asked here to ignite the creative cosmic juices, requiring the complete submission to the death, the rebirth, the transformation process here. This is a flow that you cannot stop. The Pluto, if you will know your ego's getting in the way because it will hurt. It will just feel painful. The ego, if Pluto loves to see the ego just kind of sit down and watch Pluto work. If the ego can do that, then this is a real nice place for harnessing new creative energies. So maybe not taking action, but absorbing it, right? Absorbing the energies. From the 27th of August to the 2nd of September, Venus will also sextile Lilith. That's this red line here. So first we have this amazing grand trine with Uranus and Pluto, okay? This beautiful grand trine energy. I'll show you in a minute when we get to the chart again. Two very powerful planets, both in retrograde, lifting the veil, inner transformation, Venus moving through Virgo, transforming. Are we not trying to, I feel like I am trying to transform what Venus means in Virgo and what Virgo means to Venus, okay? And this feel with the Uranus energy and the Pluto energy, this just really feels like a powerful metamorphosis of the divine feminine energy and what it actually means in Virgo. So let's sextile Lilith and add our instinct on top of this, okay? So Lilith is there, this orange line. This is an instinctual knowledge that the sacrifice that we're about to make here as Venus enters into Virgo in service to the creation is for the greater good. It's the highest service we can do, and we know that because Lilith is also in Libra, which is sort of the balancing point, the weighing of the karma, what's good for the greater, what's good for me, what's good for the vessel that feels the senses and attains wisdom that way. So there's an instinctual knowledge. You'll know, you'll feel it. Lilith will help you feel this energy because you'll take a hit in the heart, or you'll take it in your head, or you'll feel it in your gut, or there'll be a tingling, or you'll close your eyes and have a vision of some sort. So it just depends on what house it's in for you. Then, to add the cherry on top of all of that, Venus will start to aspect the lunar nodes, right? Through the prior to the eclipse season happening. So Venus is going to get a taste of the eclipse energy and what that means. So right here on the 28th is a bit of an inflection point for that grand trine with Uranus and Pluto, and the opposition T-square with Mars and Neptune as Venus enters Virgo. This is when Mercury will turn direct. So for some people, this is a relief. For some people that are getting a lot of creative inspiration right now, it's going to feel like the channel's starting to get a little more static. So it's a good time to begin at this inflection point with Mercury to set intentions for your next manifestation cycle. It's about a 3-month cycle, 116 days. Okay, this works. This works. I set intentions when Mercury is direct and in a waning phase and moving behind the sun. And then by the time Mercury is retrograde and in an inferior conjunction, its fullest expression right here, right now, which is where we are, it comes true. It's amazing, especially if it's for my highest good. If it's not for my highest good, it actually comes true too. And then I learn lessons. Then I have to review, like, what was I pondering when Venus was, or when Mercury was direct and in a superior conjunction with the sun, which will happen on the eclipse. So that's enough about Mercury, but that's an inflection point next week, right as Venus enters Virgo in this grand trine, this beautiful grand trine with Uranus and Pluto, opposition T-square with Mars and Neptune, begins to pick up the instincts of Lilith. Mercury goes direct. So now we're going to instinctually know what we want to set intentions for, and then we're going to feel the energy of our destiny, which is the lunar nodes. So from the 29th of August to September 10th, Venus is conjunct the South Node and opposing the North Node. This is where the South Node currently lives in Virgo. And this feels like an energy of regrouping. Like there's a gathering of the elements, preparing for the rite of passage, beginning the ultimate sacrifice towards the noblest of journeys, right? Carrying a child into this world from a thought form into a baby human and then nurturing it till it can take care of itself is one of the ultimate and most noblest sacrifices that a human body can make to the creation. Okay. And, so if it's not the ultimate, which is the physical sacrifice of pregnancy, then there's this death and rebirth of the ego in order to create through spirit, in order to create the divine will, right? And so there's another initiation and preparation here for those that are wanting to create for their soul's journey, create on their highest path. So the noblest of sacrifices, we're getting ready here. We're getting ready here. And I almost feel like the Grand Trine's going to break up and the Venus-Mars square is going to break up on the 30th, on that Friday. And I want to go ahead and dip back into the chart real quick, and I want to show you this Merkabah. We're going to talk about it for just a second. Let me see if I have, yeah. So this is what I mean when I say Merkabah. So what you've got, this is just one day. This is really quick, but this is very geometric. This is very perfect, good energy. And I want you to stare at this, and then I want you to recall when I asked you at the beginning of this presentation to remember the numbers 5, 8, and 13. Did you guys remember that? I hope you did. Because 5 is the pattern that Venus creates in the sky with that looping flower of life structure. That's sacred geometry. It's pentatonic. The Merkabah is 6 geometry, hexagonic. So 5 is the pattern, 8 is the number of Earth years, and 13 is the number of Venus years. So we're remembering that, okay? Now we're looking at this Merkabah, which astrologically, the geometry is 6 points on the chart that create this perfect hexagonal structure. And it depicts 2 triangles in 2 dimensions. But what it actually represents in 3 dimensions is the Merkabah. So it's 2 tetrahedrons two three-sided tetrahedrons on top of each other. And what the Merkabah is it's the geometric field of light that with your thoughts and imagination in a certain brain state in meditation can be in this vehicle, can realize this vehicle for yourself and spin the Merkabah. They spin in opposite directions. And with intention and thought, you can control this Merkabah and travel anywhere in time or space. So I do these meditations where we visit the planets. Okay. And my Neptune class has this. I'm about to release the Uranus class, and that will also have a Uranus meditation where we get in our Merkabah and we travel to Uranus. I also have a Pluto meditation where we use the Merkabah. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent, but this is a very important concept. If you're going to do visualized meditations, guided meditations, this is what you should be seeing in your mind's eye. Okay. Let's go to the chart. All right, here it is. So this is brief, right? This is the moon, Neptune, Uranus, Venus, Lilith, and Pluto. So these 6 points are creating perfect sextiles with each other and this perfect triangle Merkabah here. And Venus is a part of it. And so it's a collective energy, it's a sign, it's a surrender to the transformation. There's action that you can take, but it's just going to result in frustration. So it's probably best to simply surrender. What houses these are in for you, it's going to affect half your life. So this is going to affect everybody, every single person. And I just wanted to point that out so you guys can see that and keep that in your cap. We may do a live next week and talk about this. Let me get back to the calendar and we'll go of the month. All right, so that's that week, okay? We've talked about a lot of this. We've, kind of really explored this. So there's less energy, okay? This is the full moon was intense. The letting go is intense. Now there's a spiritual intensity here, a sense of purpose, a sense of instinctual knowing what that purpose is. Then there's this new moon on the 2nd of September. This is the new moon before the eclipses. So, we have to take a deep breath here. Guys, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're lurking. This really helps the algorithm put this information in front of people that might be interested. And if they click on it, then we can bring them into the constellational astrology energy. Okay. So I did have one more thing to show you before we get into the rest of this. I'm sorry. It's just, I want you guys to have one more. I told you to remember those numbers, and then I forgot to tell you why I wanted you to remember that. These are the numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. And you Virgoans who love the Mercury in Virgo, this should really give you a little bit of brain candy, okay? So 5, 8, and 13 are numbers in the sequence of the Fibonacci sequence. And the Fibonacci sequence is derived by this formula. So you can see where these numbers come from, okay? And what these numbers do is they bear out a spiral energy. They also bear out the constant of phi, which is 1.618. It's one of the universal constants, okay? That universal constant is responsible for how matter surrounds energy, how matter surrounds DNA. And we watched that video, remember? See that geometry there? That's here, that's that Merkabah. So there's this cosmic download. There's this energetic download, I feel like, that's going to be coming to us. Because we all react to the energy this way in a spiral formation. So does our spiritual evolution. And once again, there's the Merkabah energy, that sacred geometry that we're dealing with here. Okay, so that's my tangent. All right. Let's see. So the next thing after that new moon, we're going to set intentions. There's going to be a completely different energy, completely different. The only thing that Venus is going to be focused on are the lunar nodes in transit. Okay, now she might be aspecting your natal whatever. Other planets might be aspecting your natal Venus. That's something that is, more personal, and you would need to get a reading in order to do that. And I do those readings. I do Venus centered forecasts, and I also do Venus centered natal readings. So if you are interested in those, the links are below. So how this is going to affect you, it depends. It also depends on where your lunar nodes are. But there's this destiny energy that we're working on here. On the 1st of September, Uranus is also going to station retrograde. So you have Uranus retrograde, Leo new moon, and then Mars in Gemini. So Uranus station retrograde. It's about inwardly discovering your new values. Remember, Uranus is in Taurus right now. So inwardly discovering those new values, maybe a little bit less direct about how you express it. This is an energy where you're free to sort of mull over, what is it that you value? What is it that you don't value? And there's also with Uranus a lot of emotional detachment. So there's no judgment here. You can go through, yep, I like that. Nope, I don't like that. So this is a really nice chance to do that. And you might be surprised what you come up with this energy. So use Uranus retrograde like that. What is part of this new me that's emerging that I like, that I don't like, that I want to, recreate? It's an opportunity to do that. You don't have to do any of this. This is just what's available to you in the astrological energy. And then I did mention too that Mars is entering Gemini at the Silver Gate. Mars is doing some energy of his own. We're also going to talk about this in a live, I think, because Pluto and Lilith at this point will be in a sextile to one another. And then Mars will be quincunx to both of those, forming a yod. So Mars changing into Gemini, forming a yod with Pluto and Lilith. This could be very, very interesting. So big shifts in energy right here as we go into the first weekend of September. I've mentioned before the eclipse points that occur before the eclipse actually happens. This means that the moon is moving into the space where the eclipse will occur. So this is 17 degrees of Virgo in a constellational chart. The month before, there was a Brazilian plane crash with several doctors and whistleblowers about the COVID vaccine. They were gone. The one before that, there was the Trump assassination. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but astrology does comport a lot of times to the energetic energies that are used by people that want to create a problem, a reaction, and then a solution. And remember, Saturn is still in Aquarius. So we have some authoritarian energies we have to be very careful of. All right. So after that, we'll be dealing with that, with whatever energy comes through on the eclipse point. The next big transit that Venus is going to encounter will be on the 9th of September. On that date, Lilith will move into Scorpio. All right. As the destiny energy for Venus is waning, she will no longer be in aspect to the lunar nodes. She will begin to take up aspect with Jupiter. The big benefic, the two benefic planets of the zodiac are now going to be in a trine with one another. And this just brings us a needed expansion of blessings, of abundance, of help, of faith, of the ability to move through our creation in service. So all that energy of being called to service through Virgo, creating the ultimate sacrifice in order to assist and nurture that the death and the birth energy, then now we have this expansion, this affirmation almost is what it feels like to me. Lilith in Scorpio is going to be very dramatic. This is going to be, if there's anything that's hidden or deep or that you're concealing or that needs to be healed, it's just going to come out. It's going to come out as Lilith moves through this energy. So that second week of September, if you haven't done the healing work, it's going to bubble up. It's going to come out because as this next lunar eclipse builds, that's also the sun square moon energy, that same time frame. So you're going to feel that. And then that full moon's going to be more of a bursting energy for you. There's some healing coming in at the beginning of this week. So Venus will trine on Jupiter from the 9th all the way to the 20th. So this is really nice expansion into faith and healing. The next aspect she'll pick up is an opposition to the retrograde Chiron. Okay. This will last from the 11th of September all the way until the 21st of September. So, right paralleling along with that trine to Jupiter. So, there's an opening here to heal. There's an opening here to uh, balance what you've learned. Look back and have faith in what you've done in the journey that you've already gone through, and know that it's benefiting the collective for the greater good. Um, there's an opportunity to explore old wounds here too. Is this worth exploring again? Is this worth something that I need to reintegrate? There's an opportunity to do that there as well. Then on the 15th of September, the sun will move into Virgo. So we have the outward expressive energy that Venus has been moving through and contemplating. We'll see that energy unfold synchronistically before our eyes as that energy shifts. And then we have the lunar eclipse on the 17th. Remember, guys, these are super personal, these eclipses. It's different for everybody. Some people expand and open up huge when they go through eclipses, and then sometimes people pull inward, and then there's a complete blank slate. It just depends on where you're at and what you want to do next. The last solar eclipse for me was a completely blank slate energetically. So I'm hoping to build some energy, to pull some energy in. It's a south node eclipse, and so sometimes energies that need to go away will need to be pulled out. So you can pull stuff in from the cosmic and let anything that doesn't serve you flow through and out. That might be the way you work with the eclipse. I do have a eclipse and an eclipse points reading. We're going to combine all that into one so we can look at your eclipse. That link's also below if y'all need help with that. Get an astrologer if it's not me. Do it with somebody because we need to make sure we know where we're going when we have eclipse energy. Right after the eclipse, from the 18th to the 26th of September, Venus is going to square onto a retrograde Pluto. Pluto's still in Sagittarius at this point. And remember the grand trine at the beginning of the month. This was a surrendering into that energy. It was easy to uncover things. So now some truths might be revealed to you. There might be some injury. There might, emotional injury. There might be some blockages here to your creative output. It all depends on the healing work that you've been doing. If you've been setting up those foundational belief systems, Pluto's been in the business of sort of destroying that so we can create a new. So if you're good, there might be some opportunity to go ahead and just let go of anything that's residual, anything that's left. This will be the last Pluto and Sagittarius where Venus will have. All right. And then the last energy will be from the 20th through the 23rd. Venus is going to form a yod with Uranus and Neptune. So this should be interesting. This is a complete surrender to the metamorphosis while she's squaring onto Pluto. So there's an energy that she's got to take. Maybe this is the ultimate sacrifice, right? As Venus moves into Libra energy the following week, a transformation seems like it would be really important. So I think what we'll do is we'll just call it the gift is a surrender to the metamorphosis, and the challenge is to accept the ultimate sacrifice in order to go through that. I think we'll leave it at that. And then maybe as we get a little further along in the month, when we do a live, we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. On the 22nd, Mercury will enter Virgo. Okay, so now we'll have Sun, Venus, and Mercury all in Virgo energy. The yod with Venus, aspecting Uranus and Neptune, and then Venus in the square with Pluto. That's all that weekend. That might be a rough weekend. That might be a little bit energetically challenging for us. That will wear off. The following weekend is a little bit clear. It's a little bit, it's like fading energy because after the lunar eclipse, there's an expansion. And so this is an energy that's decreasing. It's going inward. It's going inward. It's going inward. Venus will do a grand trine with Saturn and Mars. Remember, she had a square with them at the beginning. Now she's in a trine with them. And so all that work we've done over the course of Virgo energy has prepared us for this ultimate action in our highest expression of our ability to manifest that creation. And that will come right around that solar eclipse too. So yeah, I think we will just kind of briefly leave it at there. This has been a long video. Virgo has got a lot of energy. There's so much to unpack. Just that first week is a ton to unpack. And so we'll be going live later this week just to sort of pick apart some of that and then the other energies that we're working on as well. All right, cool. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Please, again, check out those Venus and Virgo, Venus ruling Virgo videos, the conversation that we had on Sunday. There's lots of different viewpoints. Venus ruling Virgo is just mine. So, thank you if you don't agree with me, and I appreciate you. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them down below if you know where your Venus is and you want to talk about it. These Venus readings, you guys, they are fire. If you're not consciously following the goddess, this is a great way to get yourself into that, to understand the daily and weekly fluctuations of Venus in your own life. Super helpful, super good. You know when to sort of sit certain energies out and when to just sort of let things come to you. It's really, really magnificent. It's fire. All right, my friends, my Venus lovers, my beautiful souls. Until the next video, I love you so much. Namaste.